Let's introduce ourselves. My name is Mark Leon Goldberg. I'm the host of Global Dispatches, this very podcast. And Tony, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Tony Biya. I'm a writer from Cameroon, from an
Um,
phone.
And let me just say at the outset that we are going to be speaking of a rather volatile political situation in your country. You are speaking to me from Cameroon. We don't want to say where you are in Cameroon because, frankly, people who are questioning the propriety of this recent election are being, grabbed off the streets. So if there is ever a question I ask or something you don't want to answer, just let me know and we'll move on. I want to keep your personal security a top priority here. So just thank you for being so willing to speak with me and to inform my audience about what's happening in Cameroon right now.
Sure, thanks for the opportunity.
So we are speaking on October 28th. Yesterday, October 27th, Paul Biya, the leader of Cameroon, 92 years old, was announced to have won an election that took place on October 12th. This would be his eighth term in office. He's been president since 1982. However, 2 days after that October 12th election, the main opposition candidate, Issa Chiroma, declared himself the winner. So now we are in this extremely volatile situation in Cameroon in which two competing politicians have declared themselves to be the winner of a recent election. Can you just tell me, going around talking to people, being out on the streets, what's the mood like right now? What's happening?
It's a feeling of disappointment. A lot of people don't believe. I mean, like it's a result they expected, but still, I'm surprised to see just how disappointed people are. I mean, there are people going around the streets crying. There are people who just cannot comprehend that a man who has been president for 40 plus years will spend another 7 years governing the country and will do that till he's 99 and might still run for, for another term. So it's a feeling of disappointment. There was hope, more hope than expectation, but people are just depressed this morning. Like everybody woke up knowing what will happen yesterday, but they're still very disappointed.
So, will the Cameroonian people accept this as a legitimate outcome? Will they just kind of keep on going as they have since 1982 with a president who, you know, doesn't necessarily legitimately win elections?
This time is very different. Part of it is just despair. Another crucial part of it is the economy, because people are getting crushed. Young people cannot find jobs. People who find jobs are not getting necessarily well paid. So there's this feeling of despair, and there's a feeling that people will not accept it this time. Uh, Judging from the level of mobilization that happened during these elections. If you go back 2018, so during during the 2018 and 2011 elections, you did not have this kind of massive mobilization. So you bring that together with the economy. There's a sense that people will not accept this. We are going to have to wait and see what happens over the next few days. But right now, people are on the streets protesting, burning down government buildings. Uh, they are getting pushed back by the military. But interestingly, in some places, it's not as brutal as it used to be. Like the reaction from the military in some quarters is not as brutal as people expected. So we are getting mixed uh, signals from the people who should be crushing down these rebellion, as the government calls it.
Hmm.
But people are also getting killed. At least 10 people have died uh, from yesterday till this evening. So it's the country is up in smoke at the moment.
But that's interesting that you say that the crackdown, at least in some places, is not as intense as you might have expected it to be. Why do you think that is?
Well, this is not a place where the military has it better than the ordinary person, uh, because their salaries are low. Um they don't get they complain about benefits. They complain about their superiors sitting in offices and sending them out to die. Those who have been fighting in the war in the Anglophone region have not necessarily had the best treatment. So this is also a military that is probably not going out to say they support the reaction of the people, but in some quarters, you find them having conversations with the people, which is actually quite strange in Cameroon. That's not normal
Mm,
because they,
but you're referring to really like soldiers on the ground, not necessarily the superior officers.
mm. Yeah, so yeah, you have soldiers on the ground. You have a different units of the armed forces on the ground. Uh,
So, as I mentioned at the outset, the election happened on October 12th. 2 days later, the main opposition candidate, Issa Chiroma, declared victory. And then, 2 weeks later, Paul Biya was confirmed by a constitutional court, frankly, packed with his political allies, to have won the election. What do you think actually happened? Do you have a sense of who might have legitimately won this election?
so with our elections, first of all, with our elections, if you start from the top, so the president nominates uh, judges to the Constitutional Council, and then he uh, appoints people to the elections committee, and then the elections committee, ELECAM, works in tandem with the Ministry of Territorial Administration to run the elections. So if you go down further, you have a so what the opposition is contesting is information that ELECAM and the Ministry of Territorial Administration. Uh, so they're contesting ballots at polling stations.
Hmm.
Yeah. So they have representatives at polling stations from every party. So after voting, these people come together and they deliberate, and then they each sign a document to say that the results are correct, that they have approved the results. So what happens in Cameroon is when these results are taken to ELECAM, the elections governing body, they don't necessarily reflect what uh, is coming out of the polling stations.
Yeah.
So what Issa Chiroma is saying is, so the results that came to me show that I have won the elections, but the results that are being announced by
Mhm.
uh, ELECAM and are being confirmed by the Constitutional Council don't make sense. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of discrepancy between what was tallied at the polling stations
Yeah.
and what has been announced. And also, I think one big difference this year is you have citizens monitoring and taking snapshots and verifying and posting online. So there is uh, evidence with the parties that took part in the elections, and there's evidence from citizens on the
Mhm.
ground.
So that's interesting. So basically, the opposition is alleging improprieties and shenanigans in that period from like when the ballots were cast to when the election was confirmed. Earlier in our
And
conversation,
if, if,
oh,
if I
sorry.
may, if I may just add, another thing they are saying is this would be easy if every party that took part in the elections released their results
Yeah.
yeah, but that has not happened, and citizens are also questioning why other parties involved
Mhm.
in the elections would not publish their results.
So let's just maybe say there's like legitimate concerns about the propriety of this election, um, and which is maybe to understate it a little bit. But early in our conversation, you said that really like the coming days are going to really kind of determine um, the political trajectory of Cameroon in like the months or years to come. What are you looking towards? What's happening right now that will suggest to you how this situation might unfold?
So you have several parties. You have the government that wants to impose its will on the people. You have civil society that is backing the people, uh, and then you have people out on the streets. I'm not sure how long they are going. This is going to last, but uh, what's happening now is unprecedented. We have not we had violence in 1992, but I think just the level of despair.
Mm,
It's hard to see people going back to no jobs, no housing is an issue, especially in the urban areas. Lack of services, water, electricity. So people have been pushed to the wall, and it's just difficult to see this. Uh, it's possible that the government crushes this over the coming days. But you're also seeing alliances being formed where they've never been formed before. So some political parties are coming together. Some civil society groups are coming together. So this is it's hard to predict, but you're certainly seeing trends that we have not noticed before.
Can we talk a little bit about Paul Biya and how, at the age of 92, after um, his eighth election now, he's been able to maintain such a strong grip on power. I mean, so many media reports are suggesting all the time that he's really like an absentee president. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't been seen in public, right, since yesterday. And he spends most of his time, as far as I can tell, in Switzerland. How is he able to just maintain this grip on power? Number one, at such an advanced age. Number two, just for so long.
I think he still benefits from the structure that was in place before him, because he took over from Amadou Ahidjo, who was a brutal dictator, uh, who had established a one-party system since 1966. So Cameroon got its independence. The francophone side of the country got its independence in 1960. The anglophone part in 1961. But Ahidjo, Cameroon's first president, ruled till 1982, and then he picked Paul Biya. So this is a man who came in uh, just because he was trusted by his boss. It's also interesting to know that um, so Paul Biya was intended as a puppet president because Amadou Ahidjo handpicked him, but was still chairman of the party of the Cameroon National Union, and the party was uh, more powerful than the state. So this is somebody who was smart enough to just take hold of power and state infrastructure and apparatus, and you have to give him that he was very smart. He saw what was going on around him, and then he elbowed Ahijo and took over. So he inherited this one party state, uh, and then kept it till 1990, when Cameroon became a multi-party democracy. But he has managed to co-opt some members of the opposition. There are parties in Cameroon that people believe are just puppet parties, like they're in place just to give this impression of a real democracy. Uh, we had 81 candidates for this election. Uh, so it's a combination of his I think he's very smart. He plays his politics well. He's also benefiting from an opposition that is not very pragmatic. I think they have never managed, even with this election, they did not manage to come together as a formidable uh, coalition. There's also the issue of, I think people don't mention it a lot, but Cameroonians, even with what's happening now, I think Cameroonians overall don't appreciate the importance of government.
Mm.
So people don't believe that government has this role that can change everything, the economy, transport. The opposition has not done a very good job of blaming the government.
Mm.
So people just get on with their lives, and they hope that something will change. We are only having this now because people cannot go on.
Yeah. I mean, things, you keep coming back to this idea of a lack of hope, a kind of preponderance of despair on the streets and among the people that you're talking to. And I mean, to me, that seems like such an explosive kind of potential moment right now when the overarching sentiment following an election is one of like just overwhelming despair. Cameroon obviously doesn't have like a history of military coup because it's had the same guy in power since 1982. But is that like an outcome that is kind of something people are discussing right now?
I have talked to people who uh, think that the army should step in. Uh, so some people believe the army should step in, but that's not a very popular view. There's also the Sahel influence with what's happening with Burkina Faso and Mali, and so people are looking at that and thinking, okay, that could be an option for us.
Mhm.
Uh, I have never this year I've spoken to a lot of people who think that's an option, like having the military take over. But I really don't see that happening in Cameroon because Paul Biya has done this very good job of creating units within the army
Mhm.
that don't necessarily get along. So it's for that to happen, these guys uh, would have to be talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Academics call that coup proofing when you create different centers of power to prevent the military from joining forces to overthrow the elected president. Um, you mentioned earlier also the ongoing conflict in the Anglophone region, and just briefly, this is something of a separatist movement, and it's been a real brutal conflict that has created millions of displaced people, primarily in the Anglophone speaking regions. What is like the relationship between the conflict that's ongoing there and the political, unrest at a national level right now?
So most Anglophones did not participate in these elections. They did not participate in the 2018 elections uh, because the Anglophones think elections don't make any sense when the outcome is a given. Uh, with with these two sides, I think it's also important to note that they have different histories, different backgrounds politically. Uh, Francophone Cameroon has never had an elected president who was widely believed to have won the elections. There has never been a trusted transfer of power. Uh, on the Anglophone side, they have a history of voting out prime ministers.
Oh, uh-oh. Did we just lose Tony? I'll give it a minute here. I'm surprised, frankly, that we're able to. Oh, Tony, can you hear me?
Can hear you now.
Okay, good, good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
saying these
yeah.
two territories have different political histories. In the sense that Francophone Cameroon was governed as part of France, and so it was part of a centralized region under France. The Anglophone region was attached to Nigeria uh, and governed by Britain, but had a level of political autonomy that was not present in the Francophone region. So uh, Anglophone Cameroon has this history of voting out their leaders and picking leaders who come in and you have a smooth transition. And so it's different political systems.
Mhm.
Uh, at the moment, Anglophones have been dealing with their separatist war since 2016, 2017. So they did not, uh, voting was not as, they did not vote massively this election. There was a lockdown, people did not go out. A lot of people boycotted the elections. So they, I think Anglophones want to sit this one out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to get involved.
Um, I'm also so we're speaking at this again, like really volatile and unpredictable moment, as you've said, a day after, Paul Biya was declared to have won the election. Many people are protesting on the street. There has been violence meted out against protesters. What can or ought the international community writ large be focusing on right now? What can they do to, reduce the potential that violence escalates and otherwise ensure, you know, a modicum of like civil discourse in Cameroon right now?
So in civil liberties are severely restricted in Cameroon. The government says you can channel your grievances through courts. Uh, if you have any issues with the elections, you can go to the Constitutional Council. But the the people have never made progress with these institutions. So uh, the government also says, okay, you should not go out on the streets and protest. So uh, Cameroonians have limited means of expressing their frustration and effecting change. Uh, so I have talked to a lot of people who ask how the international community can just watch this happen. They want some form of intervention. either through sanctions of government officials. People have mentioned international bodies like the UN coming in to mediate or supervising elections. Yeah. So it's also interesting that people don't really have faith in the UN, uh, but they think that's the best. Uh, that's the best body that can come in and mediate in this election. The trouble we're having with the election. So yeah, there's people definitely want the international community to intervene.
Mhm.
I'm not sure they are very certain about how that happens. They don't understand the politics of the UN, but they're also thinking you have countries at the UN Security Council or General Council who would probably not be interested.
Yeah. But it sounds like they're, interested in some sort of like international foreign mediation right now, whatever
Yes,
form
exactly.
that might take. Um, I guess, is there anything else you wanted to share, you wanted to add, from your perspective, on the ground somewhere in Cameroon right now? Like, what's your day tomorrow going to be like?
Well, we I think there's uncertainty. There are people. Roads have been blocked in and out of some regions. Uh, it's possible that we're going to have food shortages in the next few days. Uh, people, some protesters are looting. Uh, it's hard to say, but if this goes on for a week or two, we are going to have issues with food. Uh, we are going to have well, we already have issues with transport and movement and the property destruction. So the next few days, if this goes on tomorrow and continues till Sunday, I think we are going to have to start looking at some form of aid. Yeah. So these are worrying times. I think the crisis in the as bad as the crisis in the Anglophone regions has been, it's still a place that is closer to farms. It's still a place where people can cultivate behind their yard, and there's just that solidarity. Yeah, there are issues with malnutrition and people not being able to access treatment, medical treatment. But if this goes on in the urban uh, centers of Douala and Yaoundé, we are going to see some serious damage to the economy.
Mhm. I guess lastly, I mean, do you expect to hear from Paul Biya anytime soon?
I don't think that's going to happen. Uh, the only statement, the only feedback we have had from the elections is a statement on the Twitter and Facebook,
Mm,
uh, confirming that he has won and criticizing the violence that's happening at the moment. But this is normal. That's how it works. We don't expect any statements from the president.
do you know, is he even in the country right now? Is it known, or is he in Switzerland where he seems to be spending most of his time these days?
We would not know. That's tough to know. I think it's usually very choreographed when he's leaving the country. If they want people to see that he's in charge, you'll have state media and journalists and ministers deployed to the airport to see him off and welcome him when he gets back home. So it depends. If he needs to be seen to be in charge, we will see him. But if if they don't think it's necessary, they might not bother.
Fascinating. So, I mean, that seems to be one thing we'll be looking towards in the coming days, I would imagine, if he makes like a public appearance and where he is.
Mhm. And also, if people are just shocked at the level of arrogance of like people don't understand the level of arrogance this government has for the people. Uh, there are images online of the uh, head of the Constitutional Council drinking champagne last evening after reading uh, the results. That has not gone down well with people. Uh, Citizens don't think they should be uh, out celebrating and putting it out on social media when people minimum wage in Cameroon is 41,000 francs. That's like $78.
Yeah.
So and some of these people are citizens with families. They're raising families on less than $100 a month. So drinking champagne after reading elections that people say was rigged is not what they want to see.
Well, Tony, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, for speaking with me, and please stay safe.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks.